Well, you're more optimistic than I am. I think they'll come to, they're going to finish their job. It's just, I'm concerned because they're still trying to establish need. Now Dan has a new assignment to bring forward some more information. And the issue was, let us know how much we have so we can budget. Was no, you can't know how much you're going to have until we know what you need. and it's, I don't know. I'm trying to think, maybe that's the way it works in the business world, but I was thinking as a housewife, I need to know how much is coming in before I can figure out where it's going to go. And they don't want that process. They want a reverse process, and that's what I'm struggling with, because I don't think that we'll ever give them all the information, because every meeting comes up with a new request, even if it's relatively minor, and I don't know that Dan's job is that huge, but it's still.
But Dan shouldn't be doing that.
Well, he's not going to do it, but he was the point guy on the question. But I think that's where my concern is, that next meeting we'll have another piece of information that they want, and then the next meeting, and will there ever be closure on that piece? Because I don't feel like there's a satisfaction. I think some members seem to appreciate where we are and want to move on, and others are still struggling with that.
Well, and I think if I can respond,
please.
That was really what I was trying to ask Senator Townsend, was just what you described as, right. Isn't it better for us to begin to see what the potential amount of money we have is? But at the end of the meeting, if I heard correctly, at our next, in fact, by the end of this week, all committee members, and I obviously will forward that to you all, are to receive information that shows the variety of revenue sources that will be for discussion at our next meeting in March. I think when we get that, and I know maybe I'm being naive, but I think when we get that and begin to see, what the reality is, that there's going to be a whole different tenor of that committee about moving forward. So we'll see, but I will send that to you when I get it this week.
Barbara.
Well, Paul, your comment that you made your question about was right on point today at the meeting, and I ditto everything that Leslie says. It was the first meeting that I got to go to. I ended up only having 2 hours and 15 minutes of work today, but finally was able to go to one of those meetings, and I was very surprised because number one is I think they're trying to take away the role of what the school board trustees' job is, which you've mentioned before, that it's our decision-making process as to how the funds should be allocated. And I'm very nervous about being put in a box, whether I agree with that box or not, be put in the box that, it will be revitalization, it won't be new schools, it will be X, it be Y, it be Z. That's not their role. And coming from being an advocate, I mentioned to Leslie in the meeting that, I'm not so sure that we as a board of trustees shouldn't be more strong in voicing the opinion to the board. And I know it's a delicate situation, but I'm just going to say it out here anyways, indicating that that's not their role. And that is, our role to make those decisions. Their role is to find the funding mechanisms. And until we know how much money there is, we can't possibly, to what Mark said, he can't spend the time and the money to come up with all these different scenarios until we know exactly how much money we have. And I don't want to be put in that box, and I know it's a delicate situation, but at times I'm not quite so sure. You've been positive all along that we shouldn't be maybe stepping up and taking a more firm role in that. I also, on the I agree with you totally that we need to poll if we're going to be outreach as far as the Board of Trustees on what our public wants. We ought to ask them what they want as far as the spending of the bond monies. You're absolutely dead on with that. And then back to the meeting that we had with the other governmental entities. Again, you know, take the 4 weeks. I think it was mentioned, Ozzy mentioned through that, you know, the entities maybe ought to get together and try to see what they can do in helping us achieve our goals. And is someone actively going out to have those discussions with them, to keep pushing that forward so that we don't arrive back at the meeting with them in another 3 or 4 months and, you know, they sigh and moan and say, yeah, really something should be done, and we really need to get them on our side and get them to be proactive as well. And then I wanted to mention about the SB154 as far as the campaign goes. I know we've had this discussion before and mentioned in the emails about maybe Greg coming. I'm not saying, in my opinion, that we should be talking about the campaign per se at this point and doing a campaign on that. But I do believe that we need to go out there and start telling in a way what the school district is doing. So it sets ourselves up. When we go and ask for money, we have shown them how we have effectively educated children, what all the good things that we are doing, even if it means a short clip of you know, somebody that's gone through the school system saying, you know, they're a district attorney, I graduated from school, or a little kid saying, thank you for educating me to the tax-paying public. I don't know, but I think that, you know, we right now need to be proactive, just as we mentioned before a couple of months ago about the casino ad that was out there saying how much money they put towards education. We're doing a lot of little things here with this and everything else in trying to get our message out there, but I think we also need to do an advertising money TV ad type thing that says, you know, we are doing great things for this community. And so when it comes to advertising or campaigning for the dollar, we have shown them that we are successful because we are successful. We do an awful lot of things. And by golly, there shouldn't even be a question about why they should fund it or not. If they realize all the work and how many kids go through this system and are successful, that are out there supporting them in whatever way, whether you're a senior or some other way, you need educated people to support you. So that's all my comments.
I'm glad you brought that up, just to respond to just that one piece. Greg did say that he would be happy to come talk about campaigning in general, so I will schedule him as soon as I can get him on any one of our meetings.
Mm-hmm. And are you doing some kind of advocacy with the other governmental entities about trying to get them on the same plate as we are and being supportive?
That will be
what your
the
meetings
purpose.
Are about?
That's the purpose of the meetings with them.